A 24-year-old man is facing criminal charges and psychiatric testing after a bizarre incident at Philadelphia International Airport. He broke through a fence and drove onto the runway yesterday. Whit Johnson reports that for a while, authorities thought it just might be a terrorist attack.
We got a rogue vehicle driving around on the airport.
With a black Jeep Cherokee flashing across the tarmac.
Hey, what's going on over on the right side?
I don't know. We're trying to figure that out now.
One flight had just seconds to abort its landing. More than a dozen others drifted in a holding pattern as air traffic controllers at Philadelphia International scrambled to communicate with pilots.
1424 Philly ground, we're stopping all airport movements at this time due to a situation on the field. All airport movement is stopped.
Yeah, I guess somebody's having fun.
Police say 24-year-old Kenneth Mazik was either drunk or high on drugs when he rammed his Jeep through a chain-link gate. The ensuing chase at yesterday's busy hour of 11 a.m. shut down the airport for roughly 30 minutes.
Just post position to move in as soon as I can. Yeah, it's a black SUV. They caught up with them. They do have them.
In addition to DUI and resisting arrest, Mazik may face federal charges. Police called it an isolated incident with no link to terrorism. But a decade after 9/11, it's raising questions about airport perimeter security.
Terrorists remain fixated on aviation. So aviation has to maintain the highest levels of security. It does highlight a potential vulnerability, which is why I think it needs to be reviewed and reviewed quickly.
A vulnerability someone with more sinister intentions may look to exploit. For CBS This Morning, Whit Johnson, Washington.
Senior correspondent John Miller is with us now. He's led anti-terrorism efforts at the FBI and also at the LAPD. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Good to see you. How often and how easy is it for this to happen?
Well, security breaches, there's 25,000 security breaches since 9/11, but that's with 5.3 billion passengers over 10 years. The actual perimeter breaches where a car wanders on, like what we saw yesterday, are actually pretty rare. The problem is there's not much of a way to stop them the way airports are configured. You look at Philadelphia International Airport, like a lot of major airports, has 40 unmanned access points around the perimeter. Now, there are fences there and gates controlled by locks, keypads, touchpads, things like that. But as we saw yesterday, if you're going to drive a car through one of them, there's not much that can be done to stop it. That was demonstrated again.
Are there interesting proposals how to deal with this issue?
Well, the TSA has a $55 million program over 5 years for airport perimeter surveillance. But this is largely devices that show when a breach has happened as opposed to strengthening fences. I mean, right here at Kennedy Airport, we have a quarter-mile stretch of the fence that's very vulnerable and a number of other holes, and that's not uncommon. I'd like to take a look at a piece of videotape out of Dallas. This is August 19th, 2010. This is a car chase. Take a look at this. He's got 3 wheels. He drives straight through the fence. And, you know, in real life, there is very few things happen the way they happen in the movies. If you shoot a car, it doesn't blow up. But when it comes to driving through a fence, if you're going to take an SUV or a truck and drive through one of those gates, you're probably going to take it down.
So how much, as you said, there's not a whole lot that they can do despite this, plan to look at things. How much of a concern, though, is something like this, that it could be some sort of a terrorist attack?
Well, whenever it happens, that's always the first assumption, which is probably the right way to think. And so far, it hasn't been. And the proposals that are out there are, do you man each one of those posts? If so, do you man it with an armed person? And if a truck is going to hurtle through the fence...
What's that guy going to do? He can't stop a truck.
Pretty much. You know, most police departments and security agencies are actually barred from shooting at moving vehicles because it's inherently dangerous and it rarely works. So I think what they're going to end up looking at, and Philadelphia International Airport said yesterday that they don't plan to make any changes. I think the overarching look is going to have to be, what do we do to strengthen those gates in terms of reinforcing them, just the way they did with cockpit doors.
When you were head of anti-terrorism at the LAPD, did you think about this as a threat?
Not only did I think about it, I devoted a day-long field trip to the airport where I actually had one of the officers from LAPD Bomb K9, who know that airport like the back of their hand, drive me around the entire perimeter. And it took half the day to do it and show me every access point. And when you see how porous those places can be, because trucks need access. Service providers, the food vendors, the maintenance people, the shippers. It can be surprising.
I feel so safe now, John.
Well, it's a rare incident.
Rare thing, I know. Thank you.